Yes, of course. Now, we may dive into your queries at your leisure.
All right. Well, our first question is for you from Brad. He says, "This is Brad, and my question is for Ardif. I was just wondering if you could tell me about what type of connection me and my friend Haley have, past lives we have spent together, when, who we were, and where the lives were. Is there on this planet Earth or not? Also, she has a twin sister, Hannah, and we were wondering how she fits in with us. We know we have a strong connection. We are just trying to figure out where it comes from because we randomly met at Lowe's one day and became best friends, and we just click."
Yes, of course. As you are aware, those that run within that same soul group of collective consciousness, of course, incarnate together repetitively throughout your linear perspective of time. Now, if you are asking the lifetimes in which we are able to perceive both yourselves and the twin of your dear friend within that conscious co-creator collective, there are hundreds of incarnations that we can perceive. Many of those that are upon the Earth collective, some that are not. But we will speak as to the most relevant incarnation in this moment that extracts the construct of not only connection, but the innocent feeling of understanding one another, co-creating with one another, and connecting with one another so quickly, energetically, and happily in this incarnation. First of all, going back into the incarnation that is most relevant to all three of you. You go back into the time period that was experienced in your own recollection of approximately 1148. And in this incarnation, both of you had already been into your teenage years before the first meeting. This meeting taking place in the region that is now known as Portugal. Both of you were fisher families that went into the collective conscious as trading outpost throughout the entirety of the northwestern regions of now what you call Europe, and went to many villages. Now, difference that was within your groups is that you did not simply go out to shore each day and fish the local shores of your village. You left and stayed gone for weeks at a time, only coming back to shore when the catch was sufficient for trade, and doing so repetitively over and over. You would venture several months at a time away from your homes, your own home, and of course the entity that you perceive as your friend's twin was a family member of yours, and both of you experienced a localized village region that was more so in the southwestern region of Spain, and along the coastal lines of the energy, the ocean. Your fishing village was known to be quite large in the region of sharing, collecting, trading, but the majority of you stayed within that village, minus yourself and your family member as a brother. Was yourself and the twin going out of the coast and meeting in the Portugal region at the teenage years. Both of you became friends instantly. In this incarnation, you were a female entity, and your sister was also a female entity, and both of you experienced the continuation of Rome throughout the villages at the meeting, started fishing together with both of your ships, due to the friendship, due to the friend creation, co-creation energy, and this entity being masculine and male, attracted both of you in a romantic way, but your families all were there, both of you being young. It was desired for you to date and procreate and find a partner, but both families had already had lineage possibility, perspective, daters and suitors within their own region, but who continued fishing the seas together. One day, approximately 2 years after meeting, 2 years after settling in to building your communities together, both of you moved to the village that was closest to the region of the largest port of sale, and both of you built entire industry, families, housing, etc., from all of your friends from both the localized villages and created a new community upon the shore, and your vessels went out and continued to grow larger and larger. One day, at approximately 2.5 years after creating the meeting and the village, all of you set out and were met by that which were not friendly to you, that which now you would perceive as Viking invaders. And these entities mercilessly killed the majority of all of your families, and there were only 6 survivors. All 3 of you were in that survivor route, and of course they took you back to their own village to make slaves of yourselves. And of course there was nothing that could be done about this, as their numbers and warrior abilities were superior to all of yours. You were simple fisher people, not capable of defending yourself against mighty foe. And in that region you stayed for approximately 7 years. In that 7 years, you were able to connect with a romantic relationship. Sexuality was not unpermitted from the slaves of this region, and all of you continued to build a small family with a newborn upon your way. You offered, after learning a great deal about combat and warriors, challenged the local chieftain to a fight for the freedom of your family. The chieftain agreed, and within the female consciousness of being was able to slay a masculine being. It was unheard of, but the women Vikings in the village celebrated you as a great warrior. The men were harassing you and joking with you, but all of them allowed you to remain within your freedom. So as the feminine archetype of consciousness warrior, you were able to take your family and leave. And in that way, you went back to the village that you created, and it was exploding with popularity, and it is now still a town that is within your Portugal, approximately mid-northwestern region of your area today. We thank you for this.
Thank you, Aridif. That was a really nice story, actually, in spite of all the trauma that went along with it.
Yes, of course.
Well, Alan has a question for you. He says, "Greetings, dear friend.